Well, this has caused quite the controversy. Today, Nigel Farage decided to stage a protest by sitting in the public gallery at PMQs rather than sitting on the benches as usual, like the MPs do. Why? Because he's sick and tired of the leaders of other parties and our Prime Minister constantly making digs at him without Nigel having the chance to respond to any of their points. Now, why doesn't Nigel Farage and the Reform Party's MPs get much time to speak in the chamber? Well, because they've only got 5 MPs and bigger parties get more chances to speak. Kemi Badenoch gets to ask Keir Starmer a load of questions at PMQs every week and she gets to respond to the insults that Keir Starmer makes towards her and her party. But when Nigel Farage is very often brought up time and time again, because they are leading in the polls despite having five MPs, both the Tories and Labour and the Lib Dems, they're all terrified of the Reform Party. They bring him up all the time, but Nigel doesn't have the chance to respond. Is that fair? Should he be given more airtime? Let me know what you think in the comments below. We'll take a look in a moment at some of the response on X. There's been quite a mixed bag. A lot of people thinking this is a bit childish, but some people thinking it was the right statement to make. But before we do that, let's take a look at what he said to Christopher Hope on GB News this evening.
Good to see you here because you're on strike. We had a debate on the channel about why. You explain to listeners and viewers why you're on strike.
I sit in, I mean, this Parliament is the most unrepresentative of where politics in the country is today and the arguments are today in the history of Parliament. So I have to sit through PMQs every week. I've got Ed Davey having a go at the member for Clacton, the Prime Minister accusing me of God knows what, and very often 4 or 5 mentions. And it doesn't matter what we do. Richard Tice bobs up and down to try and speak. I've tried bobbing up and down. We don't get called. I get 4 or 5 questions a year. I'm not going to sit there and have criticism coming from the PM and everybody else and not have a chance to respond. I'm treated like I'm a spectator, so in future I'll view it from the spectators' gallery.
Nigel Nelson, he's got a point, isn't he?
I take the point. However, I do think, Nigel, as a party leader, part of that duty should be to be in the chamber of the House of Commons, not sitting up in the gallery.
Not if I can't respond.
Well, if the Speaker were to call you, he couldn't call you from up in the gallery.
He could, actually. The last time it happened was 1953.
It's a long time ago. It is unlikely, though, isn't it? Yeah.
Very.
I think
it's unlikely in the Commons.
Well, I know it's unlikely, but it might happen, in which case, as a party leader, the chamber is the right place for you to be.
I'm not going to be a punch bag for the leaders of the other parties with no chance to respond, period. I'm on strike from PMQs in the chamber.
You'll see the Speaker shortly, 2 days' time. Because he, of course, can call you away from the list, can't he? So maybe you might want to say, call me more often. But then guess what? The Greens complain. The Independent Palestinian grouping complains. The Lib Dems complain.
I mean, they are not attacked. The point about parliamentary debate is people can say what they like. You must get the chance to respond. I can make a point of order at the end, but that's not the same thing. And they are not attacked by the Prime Minister every single week.
So let me know what you think after hearing Nigel Farage's defense of his protest there on GB News. Initially, this sounded a little bit like someone having a tantrum, throwing their toys out the pram, but actually listening to him there and then understanding that he's going to be speaking to Lindsay Hoyle, the Speaker, soon, suggests to me that actually what he's done today is actually sent quite a strong message that will probably lead to the Speaker granting him some more airtime in the chamber. And I think he makes the right point that although there are lots of other little parties like the Independent Pro-Gaza MPs, the Greens and whatnot, they aren't constantly being brought up. They don't have the Prime Minister constantly making digs at them in the chamber with no chance to respond. If it's the case that the Reform Party are being given lots of airtime in the speeches of Keir Starmer, the Conservatives, Ed Davey, then I think it's fair they get a bit more time to respond. But let me know what you think below. But as I said, this has caused quite the controversy. There's quite a mix of opinions. This is the Sun on Sunday political editor who says that Nigel tells her that he is actually going to do this every single week now. This wasn't just today, apparently. Apparently he's going to do it every single day. So this is not a one-time protest. What do you think of that? Do you think once was enough, or do you think he should continue every single week until if and when he gets the airtime? As I said, some people have thought that this is quite childish and maybe a little bit selfish This guy calls himself Mr. Ethical, says, "What a pathetic, self-centered, childish twat." Mind you, every week is probably another, like, yeah, I mean, we'll see how long it lasts. But as you can see, they're quite strong words. Now, Tim Montgomery, the Conservative Home founder, who has now jumped to the Reform Party, he says absolutely the right tactic from Nigel Farage. If the Speaker wants the Commons to be the cockpit of the nation, he shouldn't be hidebound by procedure. If government and opposition MPs are constantly attacking him, and they are, he needs many more opportunities to represent his voters and respond. I'm not arguing for equality of time or anything close, just a fair, regular opportunity to speak. Dan Hodges then responding to Tim Montgomery, not impressed by Tim's point at all, saying, "How is this the right tactic? It's throwing a childish strop." And I say that as someone who has a lot of sympathy with the argument. If Nigel Farage is going to be targeted, he needs to be given the chance to respond. So Dan Hodges there, sounding as though he believes that Nigel deserves some more airtime, but that this is not the way to do it. This protest is childish. Don McGowan, also not impressed, thinking that this is childish and narcissistic. He says Farage is a gigantic, narcissistic man baby, just like his idol Trump. If he can't be the centre of attention, he walks away in a huff. Proof if it were ever required. Plus, he's barely ever there anyway. What do you think, folks? Do you think that this makes, not Keir Starmer, Nigel Farage look prime ministerial if he's going off in a huff, to use Don's words, going and sitting in the public gallery? Is this someone who can lead this country, or is this someone who's only ever going to be known as a disruptor, an opposition MP, not someone serious? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and do you think that Nigel's going to keep this up for weeks to come? I'm Chloe Dobbs. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this and want more news updates, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below.